Okay.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable. We started an interview, and guess what? It wasn't even live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to BWTM Sports in association with Round for Round Boxing, the new boxing game coming out on PlayStation, PS4, on Xbox One. Yes, we are live now. My apologies for those people who thought we were live. We were not live. We are live now. Live from Chicago, we have Jessica Mccaskill and Rick Ramos.
Hello, everyone.
What's up?
What's up? Good evening. Apologies, I did not hit the live button. So now we are live. We'll start again.
All right.
For those people who don't know who's in the room, please, a reminder.
I am Jessica Mccaskill, a female professional fighter out of Chicago, Illinois, ABO Intercontinental Lightweight Champion, about to fight for a world title next weekend, the WBC Super Lightweight Championship.
And I am Rick Ramos, trainer and manager of Jessica Mccaskill, and we're hanging out in Chicago. What's up, everybody?
Fantastic. So let's get straight to the point. Jessica, last time we saw you was against Katie Taylor. You were telling the world that you wanted a fight. Rick, you were screaming and saying, we want to fight, we want to fight. You get a fight. Eddie Hearn and DAZN is in Chicago. You get the fight. We expect to warm up. We now see that Jessica's moving up in weight and she's fighting against the baddest woman in the division. Rick, what is going on? This is no tune-up fight.
No, you know what? We've been busy. You know, we've been training the whole time. Last fight, we've been sparring. You know, everything's good. And, you know, an opportunity came. You know, Eddie Hearn, Matchroom, DAZN came to Chicago. I think in the last interview, I had said if, you know, I'd be surprised if Eddie didn't call us, and he called us, and we went to the press conference. He put Jessica on stage, actually, at the press conference, and he asked us what we wanted to do, and we wanted a fight. We wanted a fight that would, you know, put her on, you know, sort of say, you know, we wanted to make a statement. We wanted a big win, and he originally threw a name, Bustos at us at first, and you know, I'm not sure of the details, but that fight didn't come through. So, you know, we were just like tired of waiting. You know, an opportunity to fight for the WBC super lightweight title came about, and we just jumped on it. You know, he had reached out and said, hey, you know, you're interested in this fight, and you know, we saw her. I always keep my eyes, you know, on everyone from, you know, 126 to, you know, 154, like all the women. I keep my eye on them all, and I know who's good, who's not, who we can beat, and, you know, who's a good fight for us or not. So I think, you know, Erica is, you know, extremely beatable. She's the #1 champion at 140 pounds. She got, in my opinion, the best championship title, which is WBC. And that's something I've always wanted as a young kid and as a young fighter myself. So I told Jessica, I said, you know, you want to do this? And Jessica's like, hell yeah. So, you know, it all kind of like worked out. It's in our hometown, you know, fight for the biggest title there is. Amanda Serrano just won at 140 pounds. I mean, we win this title, it opens up a lot of different doors. And, you know, shout out to Amanda Serrano. She's solidified her position in the Female Boxing Hall of Fame. That's my opinion, but I think that's pretty accurate. That's an accurate statement. And
what a champion.
Yeah, you know, so shout out to Serrano, and you know, we're hopefully we'll win next Saturday, October 6th, and you know, give her a call. We'll see what happens.
Jessica, when you got the opportunity to obviously fight for a world title again, obviously Rick says you up for it. I mean, you'd fight anybody, so it's like, you know, it's like, but when you think about moving up in weight, for your body, what is it like for you to move up in weight? Are you going to be physically stronger moving up? Some people, when they move up in weight, they're not as strong because, you know, because some people are stronger at their weight category. As they move up, they lose strength. Some people, when they move up in weight, it's for them, it's better for them. So for you, moving up in weight, how does that suit your body type?
I could very easily make 135 next week if that was what, you know, our fight was at. My body, after every fight, just changes in a way to where there's more muscle and I'm just healthier every time. And weight is not an issue. I've been dancing around 140 for about a week now with no problems. So like I said, if I had to fight at 135 now, I don't think there's a difference in how my body would be today versus next week in 5 pounds, because I mean, we're so in shape and we've been so in shape the whole year that 5 pounds doesn't really make a difference for us.
And I think a lot of people, if you go back and look at Jessica's amateurs, she fought I think like 5 or 6 fights at 154. She fought 16 fights at 141, won two Golden Glove titles at 141. So she's used to fighting at 141. She's only fought under 141 as a pro. So her 26 of her amateur fights were all 140 or higher. So she's used to fighting 140, most of the time anyways. So a majority of her fights were at 140.
So when you weigh in, obviously you've got to weigh in a certain weight category, but do you blow up in weight? I mean, you don't have to answer that question because some fighters get a bit touchy about it. But after you've weighed in, are you the kind of fighter that goes into like Canelo weight where you kind of blow up 10, 15, 20 pounds? Or do you kind of just put on a couple more few pounds for you?
Well, for title fights, if I'm correct, the rule is that you cannot weigh more than 10 pounds the next day. So you can't blow up too much. But the way that our training and our strength and conditioning and our cardio is set up and the way that we've molded my body to literally operate, whatever I eat, I'm not going to be able to hold 10 pounds. Like there's no way my body would be able to hold that much. I mean, we'll rehydrate, which we're not out here dying for water right now. Anyway, we ain't thirsty like that, So, I mean, we've done such a great job and Rick's been doing so well with just coordinating my workouts and my strength and conditioning that it's just going to be like a regular meal. I'm not going to be shoveling anything down. I'm not going to be starving. It's just we're going to have lunch after the weigh-ins,
Absolutely.
So
I might dip into some things that I haven't had for a while, but that's about it.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that. See, it's all healthy and all good. Rick, when you decided to make a decision, I mean, obviously Eddie offered you the opportunity. Mm-hmm. Did you not in the back of your mind think maybe we can get a tune-up first and then take this fight? Or you thought, no, we'll take this fight?
We thought that 4 times.
Yeah. I mean, we tried to get up a tune-up, 4 or 5 times, and all of them fell through. And I think I know Jessica, so like, Jessica doesn't get up for like if we were fighting a girl who's 3-3 or just like a regular girl or 5-5, whatever. I mean, if everybody came to Chicago, the Wintrust Arena, and saw Jessica beat up a bum, sort of say, or a girl who's 50-50, I don't think that's impressive. I actually think that we would get knocked from boxing writers saying, Joe, Jessica just fought a nobody just to get back in the ring. We don't want that. I mean, if we can come back strong and if we can, put it on Erica and get the win, and if we could stop her, I mean, that would definitely, set the tone, set the statement. And, if Katie wants to come to 140, we can dance at 140. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of opportunities at 140. There's Serrano, if she decides to come back up and weight. I know she's fighting, at 126, I think in a week. There's, this is no disrespect. This is not calling anybody out. The names I'm dropping are future Hall of Famers, yeah. So no disrespect at all. There's Cecilia, if she wants to come down to 140, we love to move with her. We love to move with Serrano. We love to move with Heather Harding. She don't want to fight. So she don't want to fight nobody. She don't want to fight. So I mean, there's a lot of names in between 135 and 147. So I mean, I don't know if I would take a 47 fight for Jessica. I think 144 is my number for her. Yeah. But there's a lot of names up there, and we just want to fight. Like, we want marquee fights, real opportunities. And man, we're trying to make history. Jessica will be the first girl in Chicago to win the WBC title. I'm considered a young coach. So for me to get the world title too, in, my years of being a coach is pretty quick, I guess. And so we want history, man. This isn't, we don't want to play it safe. We came to fight, and I mean, if you're a fighter, you fight. If you want to play games, then you go get 20-0 against bums. But that's not our game plan. That's not our blueprint. We want titles. We want to fight the best.
You both are aware that Erica's not been stopped in her career so far. She's fought some of the best fighters in the division and has done well. The 2 fights she's lost has been by unanimous points decision. Slow feet, slow hands, big overhand right.
Mm-hmm.
For you, moving up in weight, as you say, you're comfortable at the weight division. Is this going to be about box, or is it about going there and going to war with Jessica?
I feel like it's going to be, whatever she brings to the table. You can never look at tape or, be ready for one solid game plan, and then somebody brings in something different, and then you don't know what to do. So we're always ready to box, and we're always ready to rumble, just depending on, how my corner sees fit for the game plan of that night. But, we've worked on some different things. We've been working on things all year, hand speed and footwork and combinations, and just what makes sense in certain situations, and how to move and be dominant and just control every aspect of the fight. So no matter how she comes in, if she's coming in charging, rumbling, we have something for that. If she wants to stay on the outside and try to just jab her way through, we have something for that. So we're pretty much ready for anything.
Rick, sparring. Talk to me about the sparring. I've seen Jessica been doing sparring via the Instagram and the various fighters she's sparring. Talk to us about the sort of sparring Jessica's been having to prepare for this matchup.
We brought in Sean Simpson. Sean Simpson's a 2012 alternate. So we brought in Sean Simpson. He's got a decorative amateur background. I think he's 7-0, 8-0 right now, and he's also on the show. So we moved around with Sean. I mean, Jessica and Sean were warring it out. I mean, it was crazy. We brought in some of the top females, national champions. Kim Carlson, she's a bigger girl. She's 6 foot, probably 6'1", maybe 6 foot. So we brought her. Yeah, we brought her in. We brought in heavier women. We brought in some. We have Summer Lynn, who's also my up and coming amateur. She's a junior national champion. So I mean, we've brought in the best of the best. That Chicago has to offer. Work with Josh Hernandez. He's a young pro prospect coming out of Chicago. So between Josh Hernandez, Sean Simpson, Kim Carlson, and Summer Lynn, and there's other women. Sarah French. Sarah French fights. I think this weekend for a world title, I believe, against Bertha. I can't remember her name, but she's fighting with Bertha. I mean, so we brought in Sarah French. We brought in some of the top people in Chicago. So we're ready. I mean, all of them have a little bit of a different style. Some are short, some are tall, some are heavier, some are a little smaller, but we brought in every style. Like I said, we don't really prepare for one thing. We try to get Jessica ready for everything. So she could box a little bit, she could fight a little bit, she could brawl, she can come get you, she'll cut off the ring, whatever we need to do. She could fight backing up. So, I mean, we're ready to go. I'm just like so pumped up for this that man, I haven't been able to sleep. I honestly, when Eddie's like, don't announce it, let me announce it, man, I couldn't sleep. I was waiting by my phone trying to refresh this thing. Like, man, this is exciting for us. I mean, this is Chicago. I mean, we're not going to get a better look, right? I mean, I'd rather take this fight against Erica in Chicago, than anywhere else, right? I mean, I definitely wouldn't do it in Argentina.
Yeah.
So
clearly.
It's our time, and I think we'll have the crowd and we'll have the support, and Eddie Hearn has been great working with us and gave us an opportunity. And when someone gives you an opportunity, you have to, you can't trim it down or fatten it up. You just take the opportunity and you do what the best you can do with it. And we plan to win, and we plan to keep that title here.
In between you knowing you were going to fight on the bill and then the opponent, how much time did you have to prepare for the opponent? Did you know about the opponent before the announcement? I mean, like weeks beforehand? Because when we spoke, did you know that you were going to be fighting Erica then when we spoke, or was it still something that's been worked on?
I think we spoke, all of us, like 5 weeks ago, maybe it was.
Yeah.
And I think Bustos was on. Listen, all those people from Argentina, they're all tough. They don't get knocked out. They're all tough. They're all slow. They're all like strong. but none of them got knockout power. None of them are fast. So they all fight the same. They all have the same style. So whether we fight Bustos or Erica Frias, what like they fought each other. So like Bustos would have been great, or Bustos would have led us to maybe Katie 135, whatever, and I think that would have happened. But I think if we have a belt, I think we're in a little bit more of a position to call out who we want, and I think there's mandatories obviously, and we know who's in the top 3 4 fighters. So I mean, again, I to answer your question, I thought it was going to be like more like Bustos 5 weeks ago, but I'd say 4 weeks ago, like a week after we spoke, I think Eddie kind of tossed around the idea of Erica Frias. So to be honest with you, like they're both from the Argentina, they're both from the same circle, they both had titles, so it's like I think they both fight similar, very similar. So
Okay.
they're both strong, and they both don't get knocked out. So it's just we were ready for either one of them, and I figured they had the credibility. All the girls from Argentina, they had all the belts at one point before Katie showed up. So I mean, they all fought each other. It's like fighting all the same girl. They're all. I think those Argentinian girls are all the same. To be honest with you.
How close were you in negotiation to get a rematch with Katie Taylor or a fight against Cameron?
Were or are?
Were.
Before this came
about. Do you want me to answer that, or?
Yeah, you can answer.
So the Chantal Cameron fight, we had a fight in, I think it was May 25th in the Bahamas, but due to a tropical storm and some other issues, the fight didn't happen. So after that win, which the girl we were fighting was like 8-0, we would have destroyed her, and someone else beat her. But so that fight fell through, and then Chantal Cameron's people started calling me, and it was just like we didn't really get too far in a negotiation. Like, I don't think Chantal, and I hope she watches this, I don't think you can sell a fight. I don't think anybody knows who you are. I think that you should open up your mouth more. When I tapped her on social media, she had zero response. She blocked me. I'm like, listen, Chantal, I'm telling you as a friend and as a manager, learn how to sell a fight, because you could, if that fight was worked up, you both could have made a lot of money, but instead you chose to block everybody and cry about it. So now, you know what, you can watch all the fights. You can watch Katie on the Zone. Make sure you get a subscription, and you can get for $9.99 a month, you can watch Jessica fight next week, October, and you can eat your popcorn and do your thing with your promoter. But you don't know how to sell fight, so when you learn how to sell fight, unblock me, and then we can do business. But until then, just stay where you are, play it safe, and just block everybody. That's the safe role. So to answer your question, it just wasn't, they weren't aggressive. I mean, they offered us the fight. I was interested in it, but I felt like there was no buzz. Like, if we fought her, it was like there was zero buzz, and it was like 3 weeks away. We were already in shape, and I knew the possibility of that fight was going to happen 2 months prior. So we were in shape anyways. But the point to that is, like, I want buzz. Like, I want to sell tickets. Like, they didn't do anything. She didn't even mention our name. Her promoter didn't even mention our name. Like, I don't feel like, listen, I know her promoter was like a big time fighter, whatever. I don't care. Whoever he is, I don't care. But they don't know how to sell fight. Listen, if you're going to sell a big fight, and Chantal's a big name, but they don't know how to sell fight. They really don't know how to sell fight. Like, you got to run your mouth, get in there. Like a lot of these girls, like, I don't even want to start saying names because everyone will blow me up on Twitter. But listen, if you don't have knockout power, and I'm not saying Chantal doesn't, but I'm saying, like, all these other girls who want to get paid big dollars and they're complaining about that they don't get paid. If you ain't knocking people out, if you have no personality, and if you don't fight out of your hometown, then you're going to keep getting $8,000 a fight, $10,000 a fight, whatever it is. You got to fight out of your hometown. You got to fight out of your comfort zone. You got to make new fans. You got 400 fans that follow you around. They're bored of you. You know what I mean? Like, come on, guys. Like, that's it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, we got people from Dublin, the UK, everybody who, like, reaches out to us, and it's amazing. And they know that Jessica's not afraid to fight. And they know I'm not afraid to tell the truth. Listen, if you don't want to hear the truth, don't call me. Don't interview me. If you want to hear somebody else tell some lies, then go interview somebody else. You know what I mean? I'll tell you exactly how I think it is. I'm not saying I'm right. It's just my opinion, but I think I'm right, So that was the Chantal thing. I felt like there was zero buzz. They were going to probably lowball us with some crazy number. And it's just like they weren't even. I felt like they were playing. I didn't. Whatever. So that's that. And as far as the Katie thing, we never really, Eddie's never really brought it up. So Eddie and I, we get along. There's no Eddie's a cool guy actually. So Eddie giving us opportunity. I have nothing bad to say about Eddie. Eddie Hearn is an awesome dude. He's a good guy. And I think when he's ready to talk about it, or when Brian Peters decides to run his mouth, that's her manager, then we could talk about it. I like Brian Peters too, but at the end of the day, like Brian Peters said, if you don't have a personality, you ain't gonna sell tickets. And if you're not selling tickets, nobody wants to watch you fight. So when Brian Peters wants to talk about Katie, we can talk about Katie. But I mean, I respect Katie. I respect Brian Peters. I respect Eddie Hearn, and that's about it. So, you know, we haven't really talked about it. But after this win, we could talk about it. And they have my number, and I can stalk again.
Ramos, live and raw.
I mean, so. Again, we're ready. I mean, Jessica's ready. I don't even have to ask her. I can answer for her.
I don't know why I kind of had a funny feeling that if I'd ask you about Chantal Cameron, something would come up, and my spider senses were completely right.
Right, and listen, Chantal. Listen, that's not even so much disrespect, Chantal, as it is advice. And her promoter, that's not even disrespect to you. That's just advice. Learn how to self-fight, because if there's no buzz, I don't want to do it. So Eddie Hearn knows how to self-fight. Brian Peters knows how to self-fight. I mean, even Katie's manager, what's his name? Whatever his name is. Brian Peters knows how to sell, her trainer, Katie Taylor's trainer. He even knew how to sell it. He played it up a little bit. I mean, just enough for me to get aggravated. But, as far as everybody else, like, I don't see people, like, hyping up a fight. I mean, they're like Twitter battles. Like, you know what I mean? It was 4 of us in the UK, and I was speaking like I'm speaking now. You know what I mean? And I told Katie, we're going to test your heart. We're going to test your chin. Like, and I'm not trying to be a tough guy. I'm just saying, like, I was in not my territory. I was in your territory, and I wasn't afraid to speak. I talked just like this. We came to fight. At the press conference, I said, we came to fight, man. Like, you guys, we're a 200-1 underdog, but we came to fight. We came to leave with your belt, and we fought. And I think that was a great fight.
Absolutely. Jessica, your version of events?
That was pretty much it. I mean, they felt comfortable with us getting a tune-up and then coming through, and then just everything that we were trying to put together wasn't happening, and that was probably for a good reason. Like I always say, just things don't just happen out of, happenstance. There's a reason for everything. So maybe it just wasn't meant to be, and maybe that would have been a waste of our time, and maybe there's just better things that we need to focus on, and I'm okay with that.
Unification bout coming up. Hammer versus Clarissa Shields. Any thoughts on that fight?
Man. Jess, you answer first.
I would love to see. I haven't really paid a lot of attention to what the Hammer can bring to the table. Clarissa Shields doesn't impress me as a fighter. So, I mean, she looks beatable. So I would just like to see how that comes about. I mean, there's a lot of, bickering back and forth kind of, attitude. And it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, well, let's see if you actually follow through with it.
For my prediction is I like Christina in the sense of she's not afraid, right? I think a lot of people who fought Clarissa Shields, kind of like when Katie fought, like a lot of people like went in almost scared, almost for a payday. I don't know what Clarissa Shields people are paying or whatever, but I think they went in there beaten already. But I think Christina is serious, like Christina Hammer. I think she's ready to fight. I think she wants to fight. I think she believes she can win. And when you have that plus Clarissa, she's not afraid. She runs her mouth. She could sell that fight. They sold that fight really well, both fighters. So shout out to Clarissa and Christina Hammer, like just doing their thing, in the ring, and they got into it physically, and they did a really good job of selling that fight. And that goes back to my point where Clarissa and Christina, that's how boxing has become almost like you gotta sell it. It's not just the promoter's job. You gotta sell it as well. So I don't know who's gonna win that fight. I mean, I'd have to go. I don't know much about Christina's background, like is her amateur background, but Um, I'd have to say Clarissa, but I think Clarissa's gonna have to overcome some stuff in the ring. And I like Christina Hammer. You know, I think I like she's got some balls. I like that. You know, she's not afraid. But I think at the end of the day, Clarissa Shields will come out victorious. But I think it's gonna be an awesome fight. Hopefully, we see some knockdowns again, and it'll be great. You know, I hope we see that.
Jessica, got some questions for you in the room from our viewers.
Yeah.
Question comes from Lawrence Williams. He says, ask Jessica, did she watch Farias lose to Breakers and I think Pearson? And what, because it's a bit far from the screen, and what did you take away from those performances?
I did see the Cecilia fight. It's one of those things again where you see how someone performs both in a fight, and you can't expect that. You can't expect that 100%. But I just, like you said, slow punches, slow feet, that kind of a thing. So, but she comes forward. She's not afraid to come forward, and like Coach said, a lot of the women from Argentina, they're just tough. They don't get knocked down. They don't get TKO'd. So that's a challenge for me. So we'll see what we can do about that.
Okay. You got another question? You got fan mail here today. BWTM's business manager in the room. Shout out to you. Adonis. Layla McCartner can make 140 and would be a good fight, says Lawrence Williams. Kenny says, Ingram, it's a pleasure to have the hottest woman in boxing on your channel. Jessica, how are you doing? You have many fans when you came to the UK. I can't wait to see you back here again. Katie Taylor rematch. I believe you have all the skills to give her nightmares.
That is exactly my plan, is to let her know that we're coming and for her to lose all her sleep. Nightmares.
Fantastic. We've got more people in the room asking questions. Let me see what else people have got to say. Because
shout out to all the fans watching. What's up? So you got, it's like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock there.
People, it's all good. It's all good.
Yeah, we'll answer all of them.
That's
all of
dope.
them.
That's super awesome. Whatever. Thank you for watching, you guys.
I think Makayla, what's her name? Layla McCarter.
Yeah.
She's an awesome person. First of all, she's got tremendous experience. That would be a great fight between her and Jessica. She's got a lot of experience, and I respect her. She's a classy girl. She, we've talked on social media here and there. I have nothing but respect for her. But who else? Oh, Cecilia. We saw the fight. I saw the fight against Erica and Cecilia, and I thought I don't think Cecilia punches hard, and I don't think Cecilia is fast. But there's no disrespect to her. She's still the first lady of boxing, and I want to respect that. But I thought that was a rugged fight for Cecilia, and I was shocked she did so well. But yeah, I mean, Cecilia is that's why she's undefeated, and that's why she's the best at 147. So, okay. But that was a good
fight. Lawrence Williams says, "Ask Rick, was there any offers to fight Makayla Mayer?"
I didn't even let it get that far. Okay, and let me tell you what I mean by that is somebody called me. I don't even know who it is. Like, I get these goofy phone calls all day, right? So someone called me about hey, we want to talk about Makayla Mayer, blah blah blah. So I said, okay, what's going on? Oh, we want to make the fight between her and Jessica. I said, okay, what were you thinking? And the lady who called me said 132 pounds, 6 rounds. I said, stop. 132 pounds, that means there's no title. So I don't even know why you're calling me to fight Makayla for no title for a 6-rounder. I'm like, just don't ever call me unless it's at a real weight class and it's for a title and it's real money. Don't call me. And I just hung up. So that was as far as we got. They tried to call me, but like making up a weight class and like she wanted to do it at 132 pounds. Like that's just goofy, like if they wanted to fight for a title and coming off the Katie fight, like, come on, you're not going to offer us more than a 6-rounder. Like, so it was just like a goofy offer. It might've been a third party offer. It might've been like, one of those crazy matchmaker people just trying to make a fight and make, $5. Yeah, it's just like whatever. It didn't come from Top Rank, so until like Top Rank, someone from Top Rank calls me, I'll take it more serious and I wouldn't hang up on Top Rank. But I just don't think like it was a real offer, and it wasn't an official offer. It was I think they were just trying to make the fight, but it was you have to do your homework not only on Jessica but like on the situation and like understand that like we don't like we have careers. We do very well in our day jobs to like you can't like come at us with like these goofy offers. These are like silly. You know what I mean? Like
I understand totally.
yeah, it's just goofy. They're not even like if everybody like especially the women if they want to like improve the women they always complain a lot of women complain the fighters about like not getting paid properly or whatever, then stop saying yes to these horrible 4 rounds for $800 deals that they're getting. Like step up, tell them no, and understand your worth, and then you'll get the money that you think you deserve, or you don't. You just got to start knocking people out. That's it.
Wow, that's quite raw there, and it's the truth as well.
Absolutely, it's true.
Somebody, Lawrence Williams says he disagrees with you with regards to what's her name? Clarissa Shields' career. He says that Franchon and Hannah Gabriel's wasn't afraid.
I mean, just because they didn't look afraid doesn't mean they weren't afraid. You know what I mean? How many people didn't look afraid against Mike Tyson? They got destroyed. I mean, I just think that the last girl, who was the girl who dropped Clarissa
Hannah
Shields?
Gabriel.
Yeah, she was tough. She was tough. She wasn't afraid.
Tough.
Yeah, she was tough, and she wasn't afraid. So yeah, no, you're right. Whatever that guy's name is? Lawrence. His name was Lawrence. Lawrence, you're correct. I agree. She wasn't afraid, and she wasn't afraid. And you know what? She dropped Clarissa, and that's what I'm saying. Like if you came in here and laid it all on the line and come in not afraid, you'll do really well. The same thing with Katie. Everybody was afraid of Katie. They were already like taking knees and falling down on accident, and Jessica wasn't afraid. And look what happened. Now that fight is still paying dividends today. So yeah, you're right. The Gabriel, what's the girl's Gabriella or whatever. Gabriella, yeah, or Gabriel. She was tough. She had that beautiful uppercut. She wasn't afraid. So yeah, shout out to her. She was tough. But you're right, Lawrence. I agree with you. She was probably the only one who wasn't afraid, and she did the best.
Kenny asks a question for Rick and Jessica. Who do you see as the top 5 pound for pound women boxers?
Female or male?
Female. Women boxers.
Female. Man, pound for pound. I mean, obviously Katie. I think there's a lot of, I mean, the smaller women that I don't know, like the Chavez girl. There's a lot of those the girls from Mexico. I don't really know all their names because but I think Serrano is definitely in the mix. Katie Taylor is definitely in the mix. Clarissa Shields in the mix. I think if we win this fight, this puts us arguably in that list. Who I think all the Olympians, obviously you got to put that in, and not Olympians like Serrano. I don't think she was an Olympian, and there wasn't even Olympics when she was around. So it's Serrano's in that list, man. Serrano's tough, man. I like Amanda Serrano. I think I don't know. I just like her as a person, and she's not afraid, man. I like that. That makes always for a good fight, and I would just if we never get an opportunity to fight Serrano, and this is nothing but respect, I would love for her and Jessica to move just to spar, and maybe we can help her, maybe she can help us. I mean, if that fight never materializes, we would just love to just move with her, I mean, right? I mean, yeah. I like Serrano. I like Amanda personally, and and so to answer your question, Katie, Clarissa, I can't think of the other one. Marquez. There's a Mexican girl from Mexico, the Marquez girl, I think her name is. Mm-hmm. I'm not really good on the girls from Mexico, but Clarissa, obviously. Cecilia, obviously. Carter, for sure. And who's the girl who beat? Who's the girl who dropped Cecilia? What's that girl's name? I forgot her name. Regis? Was it Regis or something like that?
Yeah, I think so.
She's tough too. I like her. I like her.
The girl that just won.
I like her. She's tough. She's good.
There's a girl that just won the WBC title.
Yeah, her too. She's
the diva.
the diva who beat Cornejo.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's tough too. There's a lot of girls, and you know what? Those girls, like the girl who dropped Cecilia, she wasn't really recognized or noticed before that, and that's a shame because she's a tough girl. The girl who dropped Clarissa Shields, she wasn't noticed or recognized before that. She's a tough girl. Um, Ava, or what was her name? Or Diva, the Diva girl. She's congratulations to her. She fought Cornejo, and the WBC they really wanted Cornejo to win that fight, and Diva showed up and just took what she thought was hers, and congratulations to her, man. It takes balls to do that, to go in somebody's backyard and take their belt home, man. That's crazy. I like that. I love that.
Got a question to ask you, Jessica. In this day and age where there's a big push now in video games to have women's soccer and men's soccer, women's cricket and men's cricket, women's basketball, men's basketball. The thought of having women boxers in a video game, what are your thoughts of women boxers being in video games? And would you see yourself as a female boxer in a video game?
Yes, that is very awesome. Like I definitely played boxing video games and grew up on like Mike Tyson's Punch Out or Knockout, and so just to have a representation, like everybody wants to be represented. Like nobody wants to see a show or a genre or a team without it being diverse in the culture and different races represented, or if it's something where it can be male and female, females want to be represented. So I would love to represent as a female boxer on a video game. That would be ridiculous.
So potentially we could see Jessica Mccaskill on Round for Round Boxing.
Oh, that would be amazing. That would be awesome.
Big Track got real big hands with the big hands in there.
Guess what? Last week I spoke to Henry Armstrong's grandson, and he is part of the game. Henry Armstrong is part of the game. Legendary Henry Armstrong, featherweight, lightweight, welterweight, champion of the world simultaneously, and only got a draw as a middleweight. He should have been middleweight champion as well. A guy from featherweight up to middleweight. That is what you call greatness right there. So he's part of the game.
That's awesome.
Nacho, Vargas, little B-Hops in the game. So we need to get some females in the game. And just
for sure. I mean,
and we need to have a trainer in the game as well. We need to get in the game as well. Rick, we need you in the game.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Let's do it. That's awesome stuff, man. I'll run my mouth and get right on a video game.
Great. Great stuff. Are there any more questions for people in the room? Oh, no. Ask Jessica and Rick, how funny was Big Baby Miller in person?
Big Baby is hilarious. Big Baby is a character. He definitely had his own style and personality for sure.
Yeah, I think he's he needs the microphone more and he needs to be on camera more. I was actually surprised how little they used him for this promotion. I thought he was going to be kind of the face too of this promotion, and I really didn't see much or hear much. I mean, even on his social media stuff, he didn't post much. Jesse Vargas has been working and promoting the fight, but I didn't really see much about Big Baby. Big Baby Miller, I'm going to see you in a couple days, so I'm going to talk to you about that. Like, you got to help promote this fight, baby, because you got a lot of fans here in Chicago. And I think a lot of people will come out more if he would have had a little bit more voice in this promotion. So we'll see what happens. I mean, to answer your question, he was awesome. He was very personable, very funny, cracking jokes all the time. And, he's one of them guys who's like a sweet teddy bear, but if you rub him off the wrong way, he'll smack you around. Absolutely. Yeah, so he was a really nice guy.
Tell me the story about Tony Bellew, who was in your gym.
Oh, yeah. So first of all, Kevin Rooney of Matchroom, he hit me up and he's like, "Hey, the guys want to come through." I'm like, yeah, just whatever, And he was with Dave Coldwell, manager and trainer Coldwell. He's big over there, right? So David texted me. He texted me Coldwell randomly. I didn't even know if they were in town. I thought they were gonna be in town Monday. So he texted me. He's like, "Hey, we'd love to come to your gym. We got to work the guys out." And I was like, yeah, no problem. Come whenever you want. He's like, all right, we'll be there at noon. And I was like, or at 3. So I'm like, okay. I thought they were gonna come Monday, but he ended up coming to my gym, and I walk in my own gym, and I see Tony Bellew shadow boxing in my ring, and I'm like, oh shit, like my heart started beating fast. I'm like, that, because you don't,
Yeah.
whatever. There's pictures of him on our wall. We got like a wall of fame, and of all the fighters that we work with or met or whatever. So he's on the wall, so he noticed that, so he was grateful, and so it was cool, to actually hang out and talk to Tony and Dave Coldwell. I mean,
Yep.
He's got some marquee names underneath his belt, so those guys have been nothing but nice, and they promoted my gym and on Instagram and social Twitter and stuff like that. So those guys are good dudes, man. I love having those guys in the gym. I love that. It's awesome.
Fantastic. Jessica, I didn't ask you the last time, so I've got to apologize, but I will ask you now. Empire. you being in Empire. Talk to me about that, because last time I forgot to ask you. I'm like, damn, how can you forget to ask her?
So we have a guy on Team Mccaskill that does a lot of our print work. Mike Flores, he does our promo videos and things like that. So he also, besides photography and digital design, does extra work. So he's in a lot of shows, Chicago Fire, Chicago PD, he's been on Empire, sitting in the car with Cookie, and so they were looking for a female boxer, and he says, well, I know somebody. And so he let me know, and they were also looking for a couple other stand-ins. So Matt Hambrick, who was our super heavyweight amateur, 5-0 right now, he undefeated. He also got in on that. So we just pretty much submitted a profile to the casting people. They immediately grabbed us up and said, this is the day you're going to be here. We situated everything at the gym and, called off work, and we were on Empire. I can't really divulge because it's going to be the 4th episode, but it was some gym stuff. And so Mario Van Peebles was actually the director of that show. So we had a nice chat and just kind of, just talked about everything from the show to, the directing and the boxing, and just kind of how things have changed over time, and, female, just dominance and things. It was a really great conversation. So he said he might be available to come to the fight. So might have to slip a ticket, and we'll call for him just in case he can make it. But it's the 4th episode. They just aired the 1st episode this week. So it'll be in the next 3 weeks where you'll see me on Empire.
Do you think we'll see you doing anything else in the future? Maybe future movie star or something, Jessica?
I have a minor in theater and dance, so the stage is not something that intimidates me at all. So maybe it just, right now boxing is number one. There's a ton of things that I do. I make, my own butters and oils. I do photography. I mean, anything almost you say digital, design. I can do a lot of things, but at some point you have to really prioritize, and boxing is number one right now.
Jessica Mccaskill, the entrepreneur. Right. Next question asked. Again, I'm gonna 2 more questions, and this will be it. Okay, no, Jessica. Okay, fine, fantastic. Jessica, what are your views on Adelaide Bird as a woman and the corruption in the sport? As a fighter, is it a concern that you could be robbed on the cards against a cash cow, i.e. Canelo, GGG, for example?
I definitely have the opinion that you can't leave it up to the judges. You got to be able to have knockout power, and I have 3 knockouts on my record, and I'm definitely looking for more, just so it's like you control the situation. I mean, you can never, even in the amateurs, boxing is very political. You think it's just about the kids, and you think it's about them, getting their feet wet and just kind of understanding, what the game is all about, and maybe forming something with their lives from this sport, which is so small, but can really lead to some great things. And it turns out that there's people behind the scenes that, change and manipulate and have other plans. And it's really unfortunate because it is for the kids and it is for their benefit, and it doesn't always turn out that way. So, I mean, early on, I've always known that. And So I just kind of bring that attitude of I'm going to do whatever I can and do the best. And not only as a fighter, but we have fighters too. We're coaches. And so I do my best to keep everybody on the same page and to keep everything by the book. You know, when my fighters go into the ring, Rick, you know, he says his last words of, you know, go get him, you know, and some advice. And then I start my watch to make sure that they're getting the right minutes in the round. So nobody's stopping the fight early, because we've seen things happen, and Rick's told me stories about things that have happened. So only thing that we can do is our best. And when I'm in there fighting, I don't care if it's a cash cow. I don't care if it's a baby calf. I'm going in for the kill. So I got to stop the fight on my own terms. And that's what I'm trying to do.
Baby calf or cash cow. I love it. And Kenny asks, and your thoughts on the ever-growing list of fighters failing drug tests? How can we clean up the sport? How can we clean up our sport? Rick and Jessica for that.
It's very unfortunate. I mean, I'm in the amateurs, you know, there's a very long list of things that you cannot intake for whatever reason. There's a literal list from USA Boxing. And, you know, some of these like pre-workout drinks have some of those things in it. And so at some point, it just gets to where you're like, okay, I have to be all natural. Like, I barely take, you know, gummy vitamins, you know, as it is. So it's just like, I cannot risk my end goal for anything, and I'm not going to. So as a fighter, I can be an example and do things naturally and train people like Summer and Matt who are coming up in our gym, you know, just train them to be the same way and not to take any risks and not to trust people. You know, I don't take water from anybody but Rick.
Yeah.
And he opens a brand new bottle of water every time he gives me water in the ring. So sometimes it's not about your choices, but you have to surround yourself with good people too.
I don't think so. Yeah, and that's the thing too. I know there's fighters out there who said, you know, Canelo, I had bad meat, and this guy, you know, Billy Joe Saunders, and, you know, like all these people saying, you know, they might not have been their fault, and a lot of people don't believe them. I mean, but man, I know fighters, I won't mention names, but fighters that were in Mexico that, like, trainers and marquee trainers, elite trainers that would, you know, pour their water for them in water bottles, and those guys would end up sick. So, and they would get sent home for reasons that I don't know, or there was miscommunications in the camp, and, you know, or maybe there was some foul play. You know, I know, and there's a lot of guys, and I can't really go into detail because I don't, you know, I don't know the whole story, but there's been guys that only take water from your coach, and make sure to even then, you know, if it's a hired coach, you don't know, like if especially if your relationship with your hired coach, not your amateur coach from the beginning. I'm talking about like when you make it to a certain level and hire a new coach, make sure you know who you're dealing with. You make sure you know his history, and make sure you know all their coaches that he has, their history. I mean, you know, other fighters might put something in that water that they give you, and they want to see you lose, because, you know, that other guy might have been the number one fighter first, and then you came in and now he's the 3 fighter. So you have to make sure you control your own. I'm just saying that's just gym stuff, like where someone could put stuff in your water in the gym, or, you know, give you, if someone is around that you don't trust, or is a new cook in your camp or whatever it is, make sure you trust those people. Make sure you even have contracts for those people. I mean, you got to be on this stuff, you know. At Canelo and Billy Joe Saunders, at their level, for those guys not to know who's doing what, who's prepping what, or who's in control of what, is like ignorance. It's ignorance at the highest level. It's they're so comfortable that you don't even know who's in your circle. Like, you don't know who's cutting your meat. You don't know who's doing. I mean, this is like ignorance. You know, there's got to be a level of ego there that got them in trouble. So at the end of the day, if you're not watching all the people around you, you better hire somebody to watch them, because you never know. You don't know. I don't care. You don't know. I mean, even at work, right? Like, people who have day jobs, like, you know, you always have that one guy or that one girl who doesn't want to see you succeed, so they tell the boss that you're horrible at your job. It's just the same thing. It's just like at a different level, and it's just the different circumstances, you know? So just watch what you're eating. And another thing, the only way to really fix it is to educate these fighters. I mean, we've been pro. I mean, there isn't, like, no one gives us a list of what not to take. They just say, don't take enhancing drugs. That could be like the nozzle thing that Billy Joe Saunders used. That could be Vicks medicine. That could be a Red Bull 20 minutes before you get to the arena. I think there's got to be you got to educate these fighters on what you don't want them to take, when you don't want them to take it, and you got to educate the fighters first, because then you can't blame anybody else but the fighter. If they do something, like I said, like, have someone put stuff in their water or whatever, then they have to be responsible for what they do. But I think you got to educate the fighters. Anybody can turn pro, and they don't tell you anything. They don't give us a list of stuff we can or cannot use. So you're at the mercy of, like, okay, well, I took some, pain medicine earlier. I hope to God it doesn't come through on my blood test. Like, they don't give us a list. They don't give anybody a list. They should educate the fighters. I mean, it takes 15 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Like, especially like if the promoters are the ones who are at financial risk, right? So the promoters they should sit down with their signed fighters and educate them. How does Canelo not know? How does, Billy Joe Saunders, how do they not know? How does, who has Billy Joe Saunders? Frank Warren?
Yes.
Okay, well, sit that kid down. He's gonna be your cash cow at some point. Sit him down and talk to him. Oscar De La Hoya. How do you not know? How does Canelo not know what he can and what he can and what he cannot eat? How does he not know that? I don't understand. Like, especially if you're making that, if he was making me, if I was Canelo's promoter, I would have someone with him all the time and be like, make sure that there's not stuff in his food. We're talking millions. Especially a guy like Canelo, we're talking hundreds of millions. We're not talking thousands. We're talking hundreds of millions of dollars. So you got to watch that stuff, and you got to remind your fighters, hey, be careful, understand who's in your circle, and make sure you guys pay attention to what's going on. And in Mexico, it's like the Wild Wild West. You don't know, like, there's no governing body in Mexico. It's like a free for all. It's crazy. It's like the Wild Wild West. It's nuts. You know what I mean? So it's like, you got to be careful, man, especially when you're dealing with that much money. Man, it's insane. Just be alert, be aware, and understand who's in your circle and who's on your side and who's not.
Victor Ortiz.
Yeah, man. I don't know. I don't even know what to say. I know his trainer personally. Yes. Haas, Joe. He's a great guy. I went to Oxnard plenty of times and hung out with Joe, and he's been in Chicago, hung out with me. We hung out in Brooklyn, so I know Haas personally, right? He's a good dude. He's a straight up dude. I hate to see his fighter go through that. I met Victor a few times, but man, I don't know. You don't know. I mean, right? Everybody should be innocent until proven guilty, right? Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, that's not how it works, right? Everybody knows. I mean, the R word is a very, very powerful word, and you have to be careful. And I don't know the circumstances. I don't want to stick up for him, or I don't want to slander Victor, but I know his coach, and his coach has been with him for a long time and been through a lot with him. So I hope, I hope the truth comes out, whatever it is, and I hope no one's hurt, and I hope no one gets hurt, and I hope everything works out for everybody. I don't really, I'd rather stay away from that topic. But to be, I just, people ask, so, I want to give an honest answer. I hope it works out for everybody. I hope nobody was hurt, and I hope it can be resolved, and I hope everybody gets back to their lives, and I hope the truth comes out, whatever the truth is. I hope it comes out.
One thing I spoke about, and I've been saying it for years, this thing with this drug testing. I predicted about 5 years ago. I said, this drug testing thing, I can see what's going to happen here. Fighters that are actually innocent are going to be thrown dirt on and actually be testing suddenly positive for a number of reasons. Their face doesn't fit. They're not doing certain things. They're not following the script. So what they basically do is, you fail the drugs test. And so therefore your whole career, regardless of what happens, regardless of how great you are a fighter, your career is destroyed just because you've been done for drugs. No matter what Tyson Fury does, he will always be known as a drug cheat now. Even if he wasn't a drug cheat, that people will put that out there because there's been some association with that. Same with Billy Joe Saunders now.
Yeah.
No matter what Billy Joe Saunders does, it'll just be there. There'll always be that.
Yep. It's unfortunate. But again, like I said, you just got to educate these fighters. Again, no one since we turned pro or I mean amateur. Like every year we got to go through this thing for my amateurs. So I mean, you get that education on the amateur level, but when you're a pro, when you don't do it every year and you don't have those seminars or those classes like the amateurs do once a year, like you don't stay fresh on things that you think you should know or not know. So I definitely think the promoters got to step up their game and educate these fighters. If nothing else, remind them like, hey guys, here's the list of stuff. Like we sent it to you in the email with your contract. Look it over. Make sure you don't take this stuff. Make sure you don't use this stuff. Stay away from this. And this way that the promoters can't. At the end of the day, the promoters can personally go after the fighters. For costing in millions. I mean, maybe that's the route that the promoters do. I'm confident that any of my fighters would never do that. And even if any of my fighters did, I would cut them loose and just, I don't want to be tied to any of that. You know what I mean? And I want to play fair and square, and that's how it should be. I think.
Just
I
if
think
you ever got in the ring, or if you ever fought someone, or had the feeling that you felt that the person you were going to fight was on something, would you speak out about it, or would you just brush under the carpet?
I would speak out about it to the appropriate people. You have to be very careful about accusations that you make and where you're making those accusations, because you could all of a sudden turn into, just somebody making noise because now you're afraid. Oh, so that person failed the drug test because you're afraid to fight them, or it just turns into a lot of like nasty things. And so, there's appropriate numbers to call, there's appropriate people to contact. We have commissioners. There's people for that. So I would just take, I would talk to Rick and we would just kind of take it from there. But I don't approve of enhancement drugs. I don't take anything myself. I would never let any of our fighters get away with anything like that as well.
Fantastic. Kenny says, good work, Ingram. Good work, Jessica. Good work, Rick. Time to go to sleep. It's 2:30 a.m. here. But I
have 5% battery left.
But I wanted Jessica to know that she has a lot of love here in the UK and many fans. Best of luck for the next fight. And hope you get the win.
Thank you.
Final question. Mayweather versus Pacquiao. Are you getting your tickets?
No, I think no. I mean, I don't think anybody wants to see that. I mean, I think Floyd should come back and fight Canelo again. If you want to do something, if you want to fight Canelo. Fight Canelo, or fight Triple G, or
get in the octagon.
Yeah, or don't get in the octagon. leave
Pacquiao. To lose, Jessica.
Mayweather should leave Pacquiao alone, and he should leave the octagon alone. And I would fight Canelo again. I think people would be interested in that, but I don't even think. I don't know a big fight that people would watch Floyd participate in. Maybe Triple G. I think Floyd would beat Triple G pretty easy as well, or Canelo. And then after that, you got to wrap it up. He's got to, or stick with it or wrap it up. But I think he's got one more fight in him, depending upon who. But nobody wants to see him fight Pacquiao. I mean, I don't care.
Fury Wilder, December 1st.
Who?
Wilder.
Fury Wilder, December 1st.
I think Tyson Fury is going to have a good first 3 rounds, first 2 rounds, 3 rounds. And I think he'll probably bother and frustrate Wilder. But then I think Wilder's just going to go get him. I like Tyson Fury. He's entertaining. He kind of grew on me a little bit. But I like Wilder. He should win. So, I mean, I want to see Joshua and Wilder. I want to see that fight.
Jessica, any thoughts?
I'm right there with them. I totally agree.
Okay, right, you guys. It's time to go. Thank you both so much.
Jessica over there.
And Rick, do you have a message to the fans back home and those in Chicago?
Thank you to my friends and family in St. Louis, in Chicago, in Dublin, in the UK. You guys reach out to me through my DMs and through Twitter and tag me and comment. And please keep it up. Like, post, share. I respond as much as I can. Don't go in my DMs and say I love you. Don't ask me if I have a boyfriend. Let's talk about the fight. Please subscribe to the Zone if you want to see me fight. The Zone, DAZN. We're gonna put on an amazing show next Saturday.
Yeah, make sure you guys tune in. The Zone. Make sure you get your subscription. Shout out to Eddie Hearn and Matchroom for putting us on, and shout out to the WBC for giving us the opportunity. And thank you for all the fans over the pond.
Yeah.
You guys are awesome, man. I love it. And Chicago, man, we're ready to rock and roll. And the next interview we do, we'll have the WBC belt shining like that.
I'm so looking forward to seeing that.
Yes. Thanks so much for having us on your show. We love it. Thank you.
As always, pleasure, Jessica. A pleasure, Rick. And don't worry, we'll be DMing you, telling you we love you. But that's great.
That's awesome.
Guys, thank you so much once again. This is Jessica Mccaskill and Rick Ramos from Chicago. Jessica's fight next week on the Zone, October the 6th. Be there or be square. That's it from BWTM. We're out. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
All the best. Bye-bye.